NunatuKavut set up camp at the entrance of Muskrat Falls construction site on Wednesday, stopping cars and protesting the development of the hydroelectric site. Late yesterday afternoon, Nalcor Energy was granted an injunction against the group, and President Todd Russell. The injunction stops NunatuKavut members from picketing or delaying any construction work. Nalcor wouldn't comment on the injunction. However, Premier Dunderdale did respond to a reporter's question for her reaction.
I don't really. I mean, other than to say that, NunatuKavut, there's a process laid down with the federal government where Aboriginal groups, have their rights clarified in terms of status. And we have always encouraged NunatuKavut to follow that, to do whatever is needed to be done, and we will certainly respect whatever the outcome of that might be. But unless, you have that Aboriginal status, until you work through that process, there's not a mechanism that allows us to work with you. The Lower Churchill Muskrat Falls is squarely in the Innu lands, and we have negotiated benefits with them because of their land claims settlement with us and with the federal government. And all we can do is encourage NunatuKavut to do the same, and once their rights are established, there be no question of them being respected by the government of Newfoundland and Labrador.
That's Premier Kathy Dunderdale yesterday afternoon after an injunction was issued on NunatuKavut. President of NunatuKavut, Todd Russell, in the studio this morning. Good morning, Mr. Russell.
Good morning to you, Tony.
Thanks for coming in this morning. Well, a couple of ways to go here. First of all, your reaction to the injunction.
Well, first of all, being involved in politics now for 18 or 19 years, 12 of those years, with NunatuKavut, formerly the Labrador Métis Nation, participating in many actions on the ground in defense of our rights. This is the swiftest court injunction, and certainly the only court injunction that we have ever been served with in all of that time.
Were you surprised to see it happen?
Well, we were somewhat surprised, somewhat shocked, and our initial reaction was this is the sign of a heavy-handed tactic by a desperate and pathetic company, Nalcor, and a desperate and pathetic government run by the Premier, Kathy Dunderdale. It
All
seems
right,
to
so
us.
you bring Kathy Dunderdale's name in here, so let's talk about what you just heard, her reaction to the injunction and her observation of your status, for example.
Well, obviously the Premier is dead wrong. The Premier does not understand even the basics of Aboriginal rights. And as I have said earlier in interviews with people from CBC and in other media venues, maybe it's time that she took a course at Memorial University to become a little prepped about exactly what's happening. We have gone through a process now for 21 years with the federal government in terms of wanting to sit at a negotiating table. And the federal government is still in the process of reviewing, from a legal perspective, our claim. That is still on the books. But the law is clear that an asserted claim, a reasonable claim, has standing. And that was confirmed by the Appeal Court of Newfoundland and Labrador in 2007 regarding NunatuKavut, our people and our land. That's very simple. She says in that interview that we cannot negotiate, that we don't have a process for negotiation. That's absolutely false. That's absolutely false, and it's misleading. It's misleading the people of this province. In fact, when Voisey's Bay went ahead, Voisey's Bay was carved out of the land claims agreements, made a special project area, not subject particularly to certain claims, and they negotiated deals with, of course, the Innu Nation, and at the time, the Labrador Inuit Association. This was before any land claims were finalized.
You've stated this many times over, and you're quite adamant, and so it's well reinforced time and again. So that message is out there, but yet you still find yourself in the predicament, if you will, that you're in today. You set up shop at the entrance to Muskrat Falls work camp, and now you're issued the injunction. What happens now?
Well, we feel that, of course, that the injunction is over the top. It is heavy-handed. It is the sign of a desperate and pathetic government and a company that cannot face fair criticism, reasonable criticism, or opposition to its project. They cannot defend themselves to the economics of this project, to the environmental issues surrounding this project, or they cannot defend themselves when it comes to the infringement on our Aboriginal rights. So they try to quash the little guy. They try to beat you down, to silence you, to move you out of the way. But the fact of the matter is that we have Aboriginal rights. But like every other Canadian citizen, we have constitutional rights.
Right.
We have the right to assemble, the right to freedom of speech, freedom of expression. These are our fundamental rights.
I don't think the assembling part, I don't think was the problem. Was if you're going to stop and impede vehicles and people from getting to that site is obviously why we are having this conversation this morning. So was that the goal, to get an injunction to move the cause along, or what did you want here?
Our goal is to have our rights respected, to set at a negotiating table. We have said that time and time again when it comes to Muskrat Falls. We have serious concerns. We have articulated these concerns time and again. When it comes to the court injunction, or what Nalcor alleges in his application in order to get this court injunction, is quite outrageous. For instance, they go from the fact that we stopped a septic trunk, or some people call it a shit truck, from going on site. This somehow has led or will lead to damage to the environment and the wildlife. This is somehow going to cause $200 million in fuel costs to the electricity users on the island of Newfoundland, and somehow it's going to contribute, if there was an extended delay, to greenhouse gas emissions. All of this on the backs of a few people assembled at the gate, a very peaceful and respectful action on the ground. It is outrageous what they have done. Listen, we are at home. We are at home here. We're trying to defend our rights and interests. We have a responsibility and an obligation to do that. And that's what we were doing. I mean, this protest was so peaceful that the RCMP showed up and then, after a few hours, moved out.
Okay, you've got the injunction, and it pretty well stipulates everything. Stay away from employees, contractors, any other persons involved in this work. Are you going to adhere to this injunction?
Well, we're going to respect the court order. There is a hearing set for Tuesday of next week. We will fight this injunction. We believe certainly that it is outrageous in terms of its breadth and the extensiveness of the injunction, and we will see where we go from there. But make no mistake, we will not be beaten down. We've been beaten down long enough, and we will not be beaten down. We will continue on our fight. I'm very proud of our people for what they have done, and we're very, very proud communities. And we have a right to be heard. We have a right to be listened to. We have a right to assemble. And we have a right to the fair and equal benefits of resources on our own lands.
They talk about safety to the public here. You say it's very peaceful. The RCMP recognize that, in your opinion. Were you stopping traffic going in?
Obviously, there were some vehicles delayed, absolutely. Let me just clarify.
But is there a chance of somebody getting hurt here?
Let me clarify. When we went to the gate, approximately around 7 o'clock in the morning, just shortly after 7, the first thing we did was go to the security who were present there at the gate, and we emphasized to them that if there is indeed any safety issue at all, if there's any emergency at all, please notify us. The safety of the people inside the gate and the safety of the people outside the gate was paramount for us. We appointed 2 people, myself and one other member, to be a contact, and just in case anything happens. In fact, only minutes after we arrived at the gate, there was a person on crutches that was working at the guardhouse, that was having trouble being mobile, and the gate was opened up. The person came out, and we escorted a vehicle in to get this particular person. There was never during any of this time an issue of safety or an issue that would have put anybody at harm in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, we are out of time now this morning, Todd. I know we could chat about this all morning, but suffice to say, we will be talking about it more. You got in court on next week, so you're saying, at least for now, you're going to adhere to this, And obviously, well, abundantly clear, you're disagreeing with everything going on here. So it's good to have you in this morning, and we just out of time, so we'll have to continue at a later time.
Well, I thank you, and our basic plan has not changed, and we will continue to stand up and fight for our rights.
All right. Todd Russell, thanks so much for this.
Thank you, Tony.
Todd Russell is president of NunatuKavut. NALCOR would not comment on the injunction.